So welcome ladies and gentlemen, you read from the title, we've got some news on the X-Men reboot. Rumoured to be female focused. Meh, who knows, we'll see how that pans out I guess. But the good part, and it is good, the good part of this news, is that Mr. Sinister is rumoured to be the main villain. I absolutely love Mr. Sinister. I think he is an incredible villain. I think he's brilliant. Mr. Sinister, he's got one of the coolest designs out of all of the X-Men as well. And I think what I really appreciate about Mr. Sinister overall is he's a physically imposing guy, but incredibly intelligent. Incredibly intelligent. Physically imposing, but incredibly intelligent. And there's an almost horror theme to characters like that. And I love a villain that's not mindless. There's more substance to them. And conviction. Conviction matters when you're dealing with a villain. So, this is 50-50 at this point in time. The female focus, meh, we'll see how it pans out. Modern day female focus stuff is usually garbage anyway. But, Mr. Sinister, I would pay to see this just for Mr. Sinister. Because I think he's great. I think he's absolutely fantastic. So, good and bad. We'll dive into this today. Hit subscribe if you're new here, guys. Turn the bell notifications on if you want to. No pressure, but it'd be good to get some subscribers up if you drift into this channel and you enjoy this video. So, let's take a look. So, this kind of long-awaited X-Men reboot. It's been waiting on the back burner for some time. But allegedly, Marvel Studios has started the development on it. There's been a bunch of executives meeting, writers and things like this to hear pitches on how to bring the iconic mutants back to the big screen. Now, I say, and I have said many times, and I firmly stand by this, is when they take an exuberant amount of time developing these projects that should be quite simplistic, you understand right at that point that they're going awry. They are trying to inject stuff that has no place in the sort of literature, in the filmography, that sort of thing. Now, I don't know how long this has been going for, but I wouldn't necessarily say this is a bad sign at this point in time. Writers' meetings to hear pitches, pretty standard. So there's been no announcement. And it's not expected, in fact, until early next year, which makes sense. Hollywood slows down around this time of year. There's very little news. There's very little movies coming out. There are, of course, the sort of tentpole Christmas movies. But outside of that, it slows down. And, yeah, it's not a surprise that they're going to wait until next year to do any announcements. I would imagine it'll probably be SDCC anyway. But we are hearing rumours that there have been several writers that have taken a bunch of meetings. So, we'll see what happens with that, I guess. Now, there's obviously no script, clearly. But according to a leaker, Daniel Richtman, the initial idea is to focus more on the female members of the team. I mean, you could guess that. You could just make that up and it would be correct. Because, of course, they're going to do that. It's the unfortunate nature of, Hollywood and politics at this point in time. Gender politics, anyway, is that everything has to be female focused. So, this was never going to be male focused. Just because that's Disney and Marvel at this point in time, isn't it? Now, I will say, one of the saving graces there, actually, is that the female members of, the X-Men are actually really good. So unless they twist this into some bizarre male-hating narrative, I don't mind necessarily it being female-focused, because Storm is absolutely fantastic, Rogue is absolutely fantastic. Maybe we'll see Rogue actually, I don't know, potentially put Captain Marvel in, a long suspended coma, which is what she does and actually how she gets her powers. So maybe there's hope yet, ladies and gents. There's a lot of good characters that are Jean Grey. There's lots of good characters in the X-Men that are female. And they are good characters outside of the fact that they're female, right? They're not good characters because they're female. They are good characters and they just so happen to be female. Psylocke, you know, there's a lot of good female characters. So I'm not hating this. It's just if they just go, yeah, here's the characters, there you go, and we're just going to focus on them, then that will be good. If they go, here's the characters, we're going to focus on the fact that they're female, then yeah, that's bad, because that's just pointless. And you're appealing to the smallest demographic that will be interested in this movie. People will pay to watch this movie that are men if, you know, it's just focusing on the characters and they're female. Because people like the X-Men. People like these characters. They're good characters. What I will say is that, you know, it's dependent on how they try and pass this up with moving forwards, since they've got rid of Kang, and maybe they're going to shut down the multiversal elements. Who knows? I don't know. But Kevin Feige is believed to want to make the movie as different to the 20th Century Fox franchise as possible, which also means no Magneto for the time being, apparently. Fine, I guess. I don't mind that. Magneto's such a good character, he should have his own movie anyway to introduce him. You know, you'd have to go back to Auschwitz and things like that for Magneto, because he was, I mean, that is his background. I can't remember if it was actually Auschwitz, but I know he was in a concentration camp. So, you know, you'd want some of that in there because it adds to Magneto as a tragic villain. And those villains are truly fascinating. Because, again, it adds conviction behind his actions. It gives him a justification. It doesn't mean you agree with the justification, but adds a justification to his actions moving forwards. And it's disenfranchisement with humanity overall. But, yeah, the main villain is said to be Mr. Sinister. I love it. I absolutely love that. Like I said, Mr. Sinister, just even from this image alone, very imposing, muscular dude, but with a big brain, right? He's got a brain, he's intelligent, imposing. I love that. I think that's great as a villain. So, very early days, of course, but if the details are accurate, I don't hate them, you know? I just don't hate them. One scribe who said that they want to take a crack at this story is Loki's Eric Martin. So, you know, he said, I think everybody's probably chasing after X-Men because I think that's where the richest characters are. I mean, who knows? That's a decision for someone who's not me. As long as Marvel is happy, of course, I'd love to work on more MCU projects. I mean, Marvel has changed my life by trusting me to write this season. It was a lot of responsibility, and I hope I've earned that trust. I think for me, it all comes down to the characters. Do we have deep, interesting characters to work on? That's what gets me out in bed in the morning. Can I tell a deeply emotional, character-driven story with these people and on this huge canvas? Anyway, I don't hate this news. What do you guys think? Mr. Sinister. Do you like Mr. Sinister? Like I do. I'd love to hear it. So, drop your thoughts down below. I think this is good news. So, yeah. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.